Well, good Wednesday morning, halfway through the work week, 3 minutes past 10 o'clock. We're already up to 57 degrees this morning here at the KRIM studios on West Frontier. This morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, we're talking to some folks about, some folks that make a really significant difference right here in RIM country. With us in the studio, we have Jennifer Smith from the MHA Foundation, also Craig Swartwood from the Muggione Sporting Association, and Tasha Miller from the RVN3 Foundation. And these three groups have been working together to do a lot of good for folks right here in RIM country. First, Jennifer, just talking with you, when it comes to the MHA Foundation, I mean, you've been working on all kinds of different things. You've got this park going on the east side of Pace, and you've got all kinds of things, but you're also focused on working with some of the other nonprofits here to make a difference.
Absolutely, and the schools as well. And what I love is that all three of these organizations have been working so diligently in RIM country for so long. RVN3 is the newest, of course, but the ability, we kind of discovered this kinship of direction early this year, and we started working together on project-specific items, and it has just been so rewarding to work together and to build each other up and to really create more than the sum of the parts. And so it really kind of started with the wrestling mats at the high school. They were in terrible shape. They were the original mats from when the facility was built, and it was time to replace them, and it was a really big buy. And so
they're not giving those away.
No, they're not, and especially with supply chain issues and everything else, it hits everywhere. And so Christina Burke actually reached out to me early this year and expressed the need, and she told me it was amazing. The Booster Club had already come up with $8,000 towards the project, and so they were well on their way. And they just needed a little lift. And so I said, you know what? Let's see if we can make this a collaboration and get this thing done so that we can get these mats for you guys this year. And I'm very happy to report that within days, I want to say it was 3 days, we had finished the entire $28,000 buy.
Wow.
Between the Booster Club, MSA, RVN3, and MHA Foundation. It was all provided, all done, and they were able to get the ball rolling with all of the ordering process. And as of right now, the young men are wrestling on those mats this year.
Well, that's really near and dear to me. I mean, my son was a wrestler. His son is now wrestling in middle school, and Craig, I know your son was in wrestling, and of course is still very involved in sports. Of course, at the high school.
He was wrestling when he was younger, and then he became a basketball player when he got a little bit older. So yeah.
Well, but it's much like me. I've been dribbling for a long time now.
Yeah, he's hence the pop bottle.
Yeah, there you go. It always comes.
Craig
should have been here before the show.
Actually, he's now the middle school dean of students as well as the athletic director, so he works very closely with all that.
Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, it is pretty amazing that the previous mats were used as many years as they were.
It is, and the neat thing about our collaborative efforts is we've been able to, because of that, the old adage, many hands make light work.
Right.
There's many things we've been able to accomplish over the years, and right now the three of us were working on a new one that also happens to be, you mentioned the middle school. And one thing that Coach Burke at the high school, he's football coach as well as the PE teacher there, has built an incredible fitness area, weightlifting center at the high school. And it seems to us that the middle school always seems to be the stepchild of the school district. So we're in the process of funding, and I believe we've 100% funded it now, a fitness center at the middle school.
Wow.
That deals more with the junior high age abilities, and it's not heavy on weights, and it's more on flexibility and agility and getting them ready to go to the high school to get into Coach Burke's fitness class. So I know, Jennifer and I are extremely excited, and you guys have played a big role in getting this done also.
Yeah, we're super excited because, like you're saying, getting them ready at the middle school level to move up to our high school athletics, it just builds a really good foundation for these kids. They kind of know what to expect and know the kind of work to put in, gives that sense of unity between the schools too, that they're not just getting kind of shorthanded or the hand-me-downs anymore, that this is their equipment they can be proud of, they get to use it and get ready. And
that makes sense. Now, I think folks that have been around Payson for any length of time, are familiar with the MHA Foundation, familiar with Muggy Sporting Association, but I know that we've had RBN3 on the show here before. Can you give us like the Reader's Digest condensed version of what RBN3 is all about, just for the folks that might not be familiar?
Yeah, so RBN3, it stands for Richard Vernon Nielsen III. This foundation started after my brother passed away. And we just really wanted to get our sports, and not just our sports, we'll help with other things, FBLA, FFA, stuff like that too. But Bubba was such a huge athlete, and being an athlete kept him out of trouble. He didn't have time to go party, to get into drugs, to smoke, to anything like that.
Right.
He had to keep his grades up to be able to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So we just know the value that team effort can have,
Sure.
and we wanted to keep that going. And so
That's beautiful.
if it keeps these kids in sports, we'll pay the sports fee, we'll buy them the new shoes they might need, we'll help the teams get proper equipment that they might need to help the students feel better about the team and want to really participate.
Oh, you gotta love it, and I mean, what a great way to make a lasting difference in these kids' lives too.
Yeah.
I know the excuse me, the golf tournament that y'all sponsor every year, was involved in that this last year, and that was a blast. And talk about a lot of support. It seemed like everybody and their brother was out there for that.
It's insane the amount that thing has grown. It's really cool to see too. We have, gosh, I want to say 30 golf teams, and each team is 4 people.
Right.
And then we have so many people show up just to hang out, to listen to the music, to have some food, to do our raffle.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns into so much more than just, or even just watch family golf.
I was really kind of depressed after this last year's event because I was going for high score, and then I found out afterwards that that's not what you do. And so-
It's okay, Randy,
Not
you
quite.
do you, boo.
That's right.
Maybe
I'll
we'll
just
make
keep on
a-
going down that road.
And I heard you came very close.
Yeah, I did. There was this quadriplegic that was there, but anyway, that's another story. for another
So
time.
to talk about a little bit more, to springboard off of the golf tournament, this year's tournament, we were actually able to come together again with another big project for the high school, and we were able to collectively and through all of your efforts, and I think it was a window of about a month, raise enough money alongside of Keith Family
Keith
Flooring
Family Flooring,
to
yeah.
replace the entire gym floor at the high school.
At the old gym,
At the
yes.
old gym,
Yeah.
and then that was just recently dedicated to Bubba, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
that
that's
was,
it even has his name on it.
Yeah, underneath, not the scoreboard, the hoop on the end of at the end of the point.
Right.
Has dedicated in the memory of Bubba Nielsen, and says we can do all things right underneath it. So seeing his name on that court where we had so many practices and games, and I couldn't tell you the hours we spent in that gym, to see his name on it is just
And the little reference to scripture there
amazing.
too is a beautiful thing.
Yes, that was our favorite Bible verse. It was on our shoes, on our gloves, it was on all of our stuff. We wrote it where we could to help, we can do all things through Christ.
Right.
A little motivation to help us get through practices and games.
Gotta love it. And that's, I mean, when you think about replacing an entire floor, that kind of like wood parquet type floor. I mean, that's not a small investment.
No, that was a big investment.
Yeah.
Really.
Another big one that we did together too, when we were kind of sitting around talking about this, especially the folks at Axis and, kind of brainstorming how we can help the kids. Like Tasha said, it's not just sports. And so we started talking about, well, what are the other groups in the school that we can help support? And Jeff Simon approached me and said, our band uniforms have literally never been replaced. And so again, we were able to come together as a collaborative effort and support the band kids, because what a neat way to demonstrate this cohesiveness in the community. The band kids support the athletes, and so we're supporting the kids who support the athletes. And so it's like this really neat web that's being woven of support for each other within that community. And it's just so heartening to be able to do these things together.
And Craig, you've been around Payson since just after Noah docked the boat. I mean, this has got to be a bad reference to time there, but you've got to find this, I think, pretty encouraging to see this kind of stuff happening in Payson. I mean, there's an awful lot of years there where, I think a lot of people didn't know, where funding would come from to be able to transport kids to the next game and stuff like that. I mean, this is really a step in the right direction.
It's a big step in the right direction, and couple things that I think are very, very important. A common thread with what all three of us have done, the school district has been very good about helping themselves, whether it's through the club level or through the district level with funding. And, you know, it's very, very rewarding for us that they're coming to the table with money to participate as well as our donations. And, you know, it's not like we're the three Lone Rangers in town, because there's so many. I'm trying to go through and correlate how many active nonprofits we have. In Gila County, there's over 180 some now. Not all of them are active, but there's a lot of active ones here that also help in many, many things. But the spirit of collaboration that we've formed, I gotta tell you, I look back, you know, I praise MHA Foundation, because I look back to when, and I lived here when the colored ladies in vests stood at the highway and collected dimes to fund the hospital. And it's come so far, and my parents were big investors in the hospital.
Right.
And when MHA Foundation did what they did, it's made such a difference for our town, and they're so good about the way that they handle their money, that we have a foundation that not only should Payson be proud of, but Arizona should be proud of. And it's hard to express just how much we feel at Mogollon Sporting Association, what a wonderful thing it is for us to be involved with them.
Well,
and same with RVM3.
And for people that aren't familiar with the Mogollon Sporting Association, I know, excuse me, myself, having emceed a lot of banquets for Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Ducks Unlimited, Safari Club International, and a few other iterations. One of the big concerns that always came out of those fundraisers was that the money left town, and there was no local control. And thus the Mogollon Sporting Association was founded and really kind of just replaced all of those others, because the money stays right here in Rim Country.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it for us is half of our money goes to conservation and wildlife enhancements. The other half goes to young people, and through the form of everything from, we're working on a new class now that would be an elective at the middle school that it's about bighorn sheep, that would take everything from the geology of the area to the geography of the area to the conservation and the reason that there's more sheep today than there were 100 years ago.
Right.
And at some point in time, we'll probably ask these two, you know, to help collaborate with us to get it done. But like I said earlier, many hands make light work.
Right.
And we have some very heavy lifters right here that are doing a lot for our community and for our region.
Excellent.
Randy, if I can clarify something, there's been some, you know, Payson has a few little twitterings that happen out in the community that perhaps.
Well, there's an understatement. Well done.
Yes, it's pleasant, isn't it?
Yes, certainly. I think I'll drink coffee while you finish this.
Yeah, I think I'd like to too.
Go
So,
for it.
one of the things that I've heard is that we stepped in because the district couldn't do what they needed to do, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. The district itself never once approached any of us about some hard need that they couldn't meet for our kids.
Right.
This was all organically generated and coordinated from family and friends and kids in the school. This is not something where the district couldn't meet its capital needs and so we stepped up and paid the bill. This is something that where the community came, as it should be, came alongside the district and said, let's lift as one. Let's be one unit and be together instead of you district, you do your thing and we're just gonna make sure that you fail because we're not gonna support you.
Right.
Not that at all. They didn't reach out to us. This was 100% a community effort to lift up our kids. The idea, one of the things, at least in our meetings on our end, was, you know, this is a lot of investment in 1 year in the schools.
Yeah.
And, but what better year to do it than the COVID year?
Boy, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with all of the other variables over the past year and a half or two, I mean, it's a great bit of timing to kind of hopefully push us back towards something close to normalcy.
Yeah, and our kids, you know, as adults, the isolation that we went through, it was tough.
Sure.
But the kids, these are their formative years. This has been devastating to them. And so what a better year for them to say, to look around and say, wow, the community is really supporting us. gosh, we got new mats. Gosh, we got a new floor. Gosh, we got new pitching mounts. Gosh, we got new band uniforms. You know,
We
they
got new
love
soccer
us.
uniforms.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So, I mean, the whole goal was to just shower these kids with just the love that they deserve as the future of our community. So, just kind of wanted to make sure that that whole perspective was on all of this.
Gotta love it. That just makes perfect sense. And I want to go back for just a second to something that you said, Craig, about the bighorn sheep. I know just before going on the air here, you were mentioning that the numbers of bighorn sheep here in Rim Country have really gone up. And I had always thought if you're going to go bighorn sheep hunting, you had to get up around the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. But actually, right here in Rim Country, we're getting renewed population.
Yes, yeah, and Game and Fish has been very good about shepherding their resources and providing water wherever they need statewide. But the goal is to return the bighorn sheep to its historic range. And you know, what's funny to me, and one of the reasons I'm so interested in this new program is, you know, you go up to places like Holbrook and you go up to Marble Canyon and you look at petroglyphs and, you know, guess what's on a petroglyph? A bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
So that tells me that probably the world has changed greatly since then, but they were bighorn sheep in around Holbrook.
Right.
You know, so I think it's an opportunity for these kids, if we can get this done, to where they're going to have the ability to really see something that's newly local and learn about everything from the geography of the rim to, you know, how it fit in the ancient people's life. And so I'm really excited about it as an elective. And you know, Muggion has financed or supported fly fishing classes at the middle school for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's at the middle school as well as Julia Randall, and it's been a very, very popular elective. And you know, we need kids to get outside. We need to, exactly as Jennifer said, you know, what better year than to do stuff like this than a COVID year?
Right.
You know, and in fact, one way we're trying to help with the new park, which I'm extremely excited about, is our Vice President, Jim Guggenauer, is a Game and Fish Commissioner.
Right.
And he has arranged for the fish biologists to come to Payson and take a look at the new lake that Jennifer and them are building and see if it too can be populated like with fish as we've done with Green Valley Park.
Right. Wow, that's
You know,
exciting.
so
And there's an awful lot of people out of Green Valley Park all the time fishing out there, so it's obviously, you know, a popular feature there.
That was
Yeah.
one of the things in the community survey that was, at least 50% wanted another place to go fish in
Right.
town, and that's a pretty high percentage. Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things that I love about RVN3 with their, just incredible generosity to the kids and paying their sports fees, Payson's kids have, you know, it's amazing. So we have, with RVN3, we have any kid who can't have their sports fees paid by their family can have them paid by RVN3. And then we have Aspire Foundation that pays for any dual enrollment classes. I don't know of another community in Arizona where a child who wants to do something literally can do whatever they want, regardless of funding from home, because of foundations that have come along beside and said, there's no limit. You do as many sports as you want, you go to as many dual enrollment classes as you got, and child, we've got your back.
You know,
That's amazing.
It truly is. And Tasha, with RVN3 being, you know, put together in memory of your brother, this has got to be really pretty heartwarming for you too, to see the difference that it's making.
It is amazing.
Now, how long have you been in Payson?
We grew up here.
Okay, so you've been through the schools here yourself, and
Yeah, I think I was 4 when we moved up here.
right,
So,
right. So you've been here what, 5-6 years now?
yeah, just about.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to make brownie points anywhere I can. But the bottom line is, I mean, that really has to be encouraging. I mean, your family's been through, you know, some pretty, you know, traumatic stuff, but to see this, I mean, there's a silver lining to those dark clouds, and this has got to be an encouraging thing for you.
It is so encouraging. And we always knew that Payson was great. That's why we stayed here.
Mhm.
But to see now, almost in the, I don't want to say background, but in the background, how the community really can come together to support each other and our students. It's like I said, there's no words to describe the joy we get out of it, of being able to honor Bubba in that way.
That's a beautiful thing.
who's on your board of directors?
We have myself, my dad Dickie Nielsen, my mom Marty Nielsen, Christina Burke, Shane Keith, and my older brother Bobby Nielsen. And wow, there's one more, and I should really know who this is.
I'll make sure they find out you didn't mention it.
Calls are being made right now as we speak. No, but I mean, that, it really,
bored,
it's, and Craig, you know, you've been in Payson for a long time, you know, former mayor, I've been on the town council, and you've seen a lot of different things come and go in Payson over the decades. This really, I mean, there's an amazing little synergy going on between the Mogollon Sporting Association, the MHA Foundation, the RVN3 Foundation. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, all for the greater good of the community. And I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah, and it allows us to extend our money so much farther and do so many more things. And it's a wonderful thing. And you know what? If anybody wants to blame me, I'm a big reason that Jennifer Smith lives in Payson.
Yeah, he is.
It's your fault.
It's his fault.
It's absolutely my
I remember and you going over to
It's your fault too.
going over to California and talking to Jennifer's late father, Paul Rasmussen,
Yeah.
he was on the board of my nonprofit, and I just love the guy.
Yeah.
But boy, that's been a few years ago too.
Yeah, about 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
That was longer ago than any of us really want to probably admit.
Actually, it was 1992.
92.
Craig was mayor.
Right.
Yeah, and it was pretty amazing. And what's really cool is to circle back, and you know, there's a long period of time where we weren't really in touch with each other, but now here we are, you know, just yoked together and pulling shoulder to shoulder for the same community that Craig was rooting for 30 years ago, you know, to bring us here. It's really heartwarming to have that kind of depth of engagement. And I think, you know, if there's something that makes Payson amazing, aside from just our trees and our mountains and the beauty, but
KRIM.
well,
Yeah.
duh. I mean, that goes right there with
There you go.
Ponderosa Pine Trees.
That's right. Yeah.
KRIM, like
And Yule Gibbons and all that
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It's this type of engagement with the people. It's the heart of the people. That's why people love it here. And it's this spirit of we can do it together. There's, you know, it's all about the kids. It's all about the community and how we can make it better together.
Right.
And that, I think, is what we all love about Payson.
You know, real quick, because we're going to be running out of time here shortly, regarding the new park that's under construction out there off of Mud Springs and Grenadales Road.
Yeah.
What percentage complete are we at this point, would you guess?
Oh, golly. Overall, maybe 25% complete. Which is pretty darn good because we started construction in July.
Well, you're moving a significant amount of dirt, and the one thing that I thought was really interesting is it wasn't being moved off the property.
No, we actually had what's called a balanced site. So the 43,000 cubic yards that were moved all stayed on site. Nothing was brought on from off site. Nothing was taken off site. And what's also
that's
amazing,
pretty phenomenal. I mean, I don't.
A lot of engineering. It didn't happen by accident.
Somebody a whole lot smarter than me was involved in that one, but I mean that's pretty remarkable.
What's also remarkable is we hit, and this is again something that's a little bit counter to some of the information that might be in the twitterings that we talked about before. We hit 0 hard dig on the whole site. So in this area where a lot of excavation projects, even minor excavation projects, end up going to great lengths to move material, we were so blessed that we literally hit 0 hard dig. It was all standard conditions out there. And so that just facilitated that earth moving process so nicely, and it gave us an impeccable base of material for the entire project.
I couldn't even garden in my backyard in Payson without hitting stone.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
And we've
amazing.
got 26 and a half acres for the park, and
Right.
of that I would say at least 15 had something to do with some heavy civil equipment. So
Yeah.
So
Used a lot of local people on that job
yes,
too.
we did. We are
That's amazing.
continuing
Yeah.
for everything from landscaping to firewizing to
wow.
the stone masonry to we've had the kids, we've had local youth volunteer to help with a service project on the site, local contractors, local materials as much as possible.
Do you have a projected completion date yet?
As long as you know, here we are and the infrastructure bill just passed and we already had supply chain issues, so I have to put that caveat out there. As long as we don't hit any proverbial brick walls, we should be done by the end of 2022.
Especially the brick walls that are inside a container on a ship out. that goes
Right,
to
Yes.
California.
yeah, fortunately, we have Sholo Block that, you know, produces block for us.
That helps.
Before we go, can I give a shout out?
Sure.
I want to give a shout out to Paul Brocker and Aspire.
Yeah.
I mean, Jennifer touched on it. They do an incredible job with the dual credits, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a golf tournament like RVN3 did. Totally different tenor. RVN3's is like the Mardi Gras of Payson. This one was more like the Queen's coronation.
Oh, wow.
They were both incredibly good
So we
tournaments.
had golf
and-
claps.
Yeah. quiet golf.
Yes, that's right. No, that's interesting though, and it really all keeps coming back. Everything that's mentioned here, it comes back to a real sense of community with everybody working together for the greater good, and that's a wonderful thing to see, because there's been times over the years where, let's just say, we perhaps didn't see that much, and this is a very positive thing. If people want to find out more about, well, first of all, the MHA Foundation, where should they go? Tell them where to go, Jennifer.
That's not fair, Randy.
I know. I never said I was fair.
MHAfoundation.com, but what's really active, there's a great repository of information there, but our Facebook page, if you just search for MHA Foundation's Facebook page on Facebook,
There you go.
that's where we post a lot of our current happenings, and there's a lot of really neat engagement
And you've
there.
been posting up videos and pictures and all kinds of different
Oh,
things.
yeah,
So it's a-
absolutely, and, you know, obviously we're on the radio, we're in the newspaper, we're really working very hard to just get as much information out as possible.
And as far as RVN3, where should people go to get more information on that?
Ours is rvn3.org.
Easy enough.
Yep. It's got
Everything
our
you ever
store.
wanted to know and more, right?
Pretty much.
Good. And as far as Mogollon Sporting Association, MSA.com?
Yeah, msa.com.
Okay.
And then, I think it's .com. Or they can feel free to call me at 928-970-0527. We're always looking for people who want to be involved, and if you love the outdoors and if you love youth, you know, we might be the organization for you. And we had our banquet this year. We sold 440 tickets. We had an MC that I'm sure is up for like an Academy or an Emmy award for the documentary we made.
Hey, let me give you that
And
10 bucks real
Randy
quick.
and we netted out about $163,000.
You netted 163 grand.
Yes.
Yeah, that's astounding. And that was, you know, I mentioned that I've done a few of these banquets over the years, and I've never seen one that big. I mean, they even had just the seating arrangements had to be kind of augmented to be able to fit everybody in there.
Mm-hmm. And we gave away over $100,000 in prizes.
Yeah,
Wow.
all kinds of
So,
good stuff.
and it all goes back to the community. It all stays, even the outdoor stuff stays around 50 miles away from here. And if you want to get involved in it, we have committees, we have
There's stuff going on all year round.
all year round. We meet once a month, and it's a great organization founded by a great bunch of people that's lasted around 30 years.
Can't
So-
beat that.
That's
Again,
amazing.
we've been talking this morning with Jennifer Smith from the MHA Foundation, Craig Swartwood from the Mogollon Sporting Association, and Tasha Miller from the RVN3 Foundation. Thanks for everything that you all are doing. Keep up the great work.
Thank you,
Thank you, Randy.
And my compliments on your choice of MCs this last year.
Yeah.
We got to get you back to more of your favorite music, otherwise I'll keep talking. So we'll have some tunes coming up for you from Collective Soul, Leonard Skinner, Counting Crows, Santana, and more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
All right.
This morning's KRIM weather forecast.
Just like that.
Surrounding areas.
We did okay, guys.